You ready to lasso some fuel in your F8X? But for real, excited that we finally have this F8X fuel starvation kit to market, released, and helping get these tanks down to a fifth of a tank, maybe even lower in some applications. The issue that these things have is even without the big grippy tires, the big aero, sometimes these things are starving at half a tank. James was able to get this thing down to a fifth of a tank with the super sticky Hoosiers, the big aero, the big grip really pushing, so. Pretty impressive. Didn't get all the way to the bottom, but that can be the difference of running a full session or having to come in partway through your 20-25 minute session. All right, so now we're in the car, gonna go over some of the install notes of this thing. As you can see, I'm a little bit cramped. My wife kind of makes fun of me for not being super flexible, so that's a bit of a challenge in here. But got a roll bar, so got to work around that. Had to get the passenger seat out. If you have a sedan, you'll have a little bit easier time so you can access this through the doors. So one of the goals here with this was to have it as simple as possible, have the solution contained fully inside of the fuel tank. There are some solutions out there that require you to have a surge tank mounted in the trunk, which means you have effectively fuel in the cabin, which is not something many guys want for a street car. Also just adds complication of more lines, more junctions, more things to keep up with. So we wanted to be able to have this fully contained inside of the tank and also be able to be installed without dropping the tank. Obviously, I'm in here in this jungle gym, which means, yeah, we're gonna be able to do this with the tank in the car and me wrapped around this roll bar. Really, the whole way this thing works is there is an access panel to the main fuel pump right here on the passenger side of the tank, and then there's no access here on the driver's side. You know, on E36, E46s, the older cars, there was an access panel here and access panel on the fuel tank that allowed you to drop a fuel pump in here and feed fuel over to the main side of the tank that kept the engine supplied with fuel. So the solution we came up with is basically a lift pump that ends up getting to the other side of the tank and feeds the main pump bucket. This pump is E85 compatible for those that are using that kind of fuel on track. On the stock system, there is a factory siphon over here that passively feeds over into the main pump. And we're actually gonna use that hose that runs from this side of the tank to this side. You feed that passive siphon through this zip tie, and then that helps guide this thing across. You just kind of fish it over through the tank, not much space, and then it drops down and finds its new home where it will then be secured by the zip tie. You do snug this zip tie up a little bit when you get it over the hose and when you're fishing it over, so that it doesn't move around so much when it drops into this side of the tank. And it does float, but no issues with that. So once that's fished over, you've got your wires, your pump hose. This pump hose basically gets secured to the main pump to help feed fuel into this main bucket and keep it as submerged with fuel as possible. Also, you've got your bulkhead fitting that we include with it to route the wires through to get it powered. And once that's done, you put it back together, and then we got to power this baby. To power this thing, I'm moving around the jungle gym a little bit more, but real simple, just a power and ground. You do have to route these through this grommet, got to fish them through there a little bit, but then it just kind of runs along here, runs up. We've got a ground stud right here we can grab for the ground, and then the power wire just comes down over here. Haha! Factory fuse box. Unfortunately, there is a little brick right here, a little section that is unused fuses that don't have any power going to them, and we've got this connector here that just plop clicks right into the back of one of those, and now you have power. You know, this pump does run all the time that the ignition is on, but if you are on track, not a problem. Really, if you're on street, not a problem, but if it is something that you're concerned about, you can just pop the fuse out for while you're street driving the car and then just pop it back in when you're on the track. Super excited to get this thing to market. If you're looking for this, check out the link below. If you're looking for anything else for your F8X, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're just a call away, a phone call, live chat, anything. Or maybe it's not an F8X, any BMW for that matter. Reach out to us, we're here to help.
You ready to go?
Should be an awesome race weekend.
We are ready to kill it this year.
It's good.
It's going to be a wild ride.